Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Was Adopted by Kakashi, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Kakashi made it home later, over a week later than he had left. He had just came from the hospital and he felt like hell. The mission had been bad, he lost people got hurt, they got the missing nins, but the price was high. He had a small stab wound that had been patched up, and a cut on his leg that he knew would be giving him problems for a few days at least. He walked inside and found himself in the living room. He landed on the couch, putting his wolf mask on the table and sighed, feeling like his body was nothing but lead weights. He closed his eyes, just happy to be home. I can't keep doing this, it's killing me. He thought to himself, I think it's time to quit Anbu. If I keep on doing this it will ruin me. I miss the life of a jonin. Sure, Anbu is great status, but I don't think I can keep this up much longer. I don't want to be just an empty shell for Naruto later on in life. I want to enjoy his life. He had seen how some people who had cut out all emotion just to keep sane sometimes, and he didn't want that. He knew that this was it, this was the last mission as an Anbu. He just wanted to sleep, but the blood and screams came out of the darkness and wouldn't leave him alone. He suddenly felt a presence behind him and he jumped up and spun, pulling out a kunai. Whoa there, easy one eye, Anko said to him. He relaxed, seeing her. Sorry. Hey, it's okay, we've all been there, she said, seeing him jumpy like that. She guessed he was still wound up from a mission. That was one of the risks with high-level missions. Sometimes you can be jumpy for hours, days, or even a week after it. She sat down across from him, taking in a look. He had cuts on his uniform, dirt and blood. Lots of blood, and from the looks of it not all of it was his. You look like hell, she said with a forced small smile. I feel like hell, he sighed. How bad? Very bad. Lost 2 people, a few more wounded. One lost his leg. His career as a ninja is over. Anko winced at that. There was only one thing worse for a ninja than death, and that was not being a ninja. To get wounded like that was the worst thing that could happen. You spend your life doing something and then in a moment it's taken from you. I'm through. What? She asked, surprised. I'm going back to being a jonin. This was it for me. I'm tired of the life. I want to be there for Naruto, and being a jonin will let me do that. He looked at her now. So how was he? Anko smiled a bit. Well, we got off to a rocky start. But the brat is okay as long as you know how to handle him. I have no idea where he gets the energy, she sighed, feeling drained. You gave him lots of sugar today, didn't you? He smirked, seeing her tired nod. I told you not to do that. He's got enough energy as it is. You add in a sugar rush and it's like 10 times worse. You wouldn't believe what I had to go through the first time it happened. Oh, trust me, I would. How the hell can a kid be that hyperactive? She asked him, and he only gave out a laugh. It was good to laugh after all of this, and he felt a bit better for it. Anko just smirked at him, knowing that he needed to do that as well. Besides that, I actually had some fun with the little whirlwind of chaos. That Hyuga girl came by a few times and they played too. Never knew he was friends with one of them. He nodded his head at that, glad to hear things were going well. Yes, that would be Hinata, Hyuga's daughter. Whoa, you mean head of the Hyuga clan, Hyuga? Anko said, surprised, and saw his nod. Damn. Never seen the guy in person, at least I don't think I did. Some guy named Hisashi dropped him off. She stopped as he started to laugh again. What? Hisashi is Hisashi's twin younger brother. How did you not know who is who? Now she was getting a bit pissed. Hey, it's not my damn fault. They all look the same to me, all with long hair, same eyes, same style of dress. It's like they're all freaking clones or something. She crossed her arms and looked away, feeling a little embarrassed but didn't show it. Well, at any rate, glad there were no problems, although I really think I'll sleep now. Well, I guess it's my time to leave since you're here. She went to get up, feeling tired. She had to live an hour walk away too. She didn't like the idea of walking all that way at this time of the night. You can stay here, Kakashi told her, and she looked at him surprised. I'm not going to let you go at this hour, and besides I think Naruto would want to say goodbye in the morning. So where are you sleeping? She smirked and put her hands on her hips. I've been using your bed and I'm not giving it up. Don't worry, I don't think I can move from this spot. The couch is fine, he laid himself down and he was already feeling like he was about to pass out. Anko smiled seeing him like that and went to her room but then stopped. She waited for a few minutes and then silently snuck back. She could see he was passed out and it was just too good a chance. She had to see what was under that mask. She gently went to the couch and slowly started to put her hand to the mask. She held her breath and was just about there when his hand shot up and grabbed her wrist. She jumped but stayed silent. Okay, fine, you can stop faking. Kakashi. Hey, this isn't funny. Then she heard a slight snore and the hand dropped, her eyes widened by the fact that he was still asleep. He grabbed her hand out of reflex, which was impressive if not a bit creepy that he knew how to do that. She would try again but figured to just cut her losses. She would find a way to get that mask one day and see what the big deal was with it. She checked to see that Naruto was still asleep and was tempted to get his stuffed toy and place with Kakashi and take a photo. Too bad she didn't bring a camera. Oh well, always something to do later. She got to the bed and fell asleep pretty fast. Naruto wore her out that day. She woke up to the sun blinding her and groaned, rolling over and pulling the covers over her head. God, just let me sleep in, she muttered, trying to go back to sleep. Unfortunately, she was one of those people that had a hard time going back to sleep once she woke up. She tried for 15 minutes and failing that side and went to go and get some coffee. She was on her way when she noticed the couch was empty, and the wolf mask still on the table. She arched an eyebrow at that and took a look into the kitchen. I wonder where he is, she thought, but then remembered his bloody and torn uniform and the fact he had only just got back from a mission. He might be in the bathroom taking a shower or something. I doubt he wants the kid to see him all bloody like that. She started the coffee and after starting her own breakfast she felt someone walk in behind her. She quickly glanced behind her and saw it was Kakashi. She had to admit she didn't even hear him. He was in loose pants and a t-shirt but still had on that damn mask and kept his left eye closed. Morning. Morning, he sighed sitting down feeling all the physical pains of the mission settling in. May, don't you look all domestic. He just barely managed to dodge a kitchen knife that had been thrown at him, although he guessed if she meant it, she wouldn't have missed. Got the warning? She asked, and he nodded. Good, cause there is no way in hell I'm domestic in any way. Got it, Cyclops. Soon after that, Kakashi was helping out since it was a long time since he had a decent meal. Ration bars were not the best tasting food, plus he wanted to make some ramen for Naruto. He always made it when he came back from a mission and he knew this would make Naruto's morning. It wasn't long after that said blonde boy was walking into the room rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Mornin'. Hey there, son. Naruto's eyes widened at Kakashi's smiling masked face. Daddy. He ran over hugging the man's legs. Kakashi ruffled Naruto's hair a bit, so glad to see him again. Anko was looking at the scene and even she had to smile at the sight. She could barely remember her own family as a child, but what she could remember was that she had been happy back then. It seemed like another lifetime ago to her, but she could see just how much the two of them meant to the other. She watched at Kakashi, one of the most feared ninjas to others outside of their village, a prodigy child that was a legend, act like a normal dad in front of her. She wasn't sure if it spoiled the illusion that many built up around him, but to her it just made him seem more human. They ate breakfast together, which was weird since she always ate alone in her place. Even the few times she had some male company over for the night, she usually either kicked out of bed that night or in the morning. She had figured she wasn't the type to get involved in relationships, they just complicated things. Although a small part of her did feel kind of nice like this, she almost felt like a normal person again. Just sitting here having breakfast with a loud energetic kid, his laid-back father, as he listened to everything his son said with interests. It was kind of surreal for her, to find herself like this, but she enjoyed it. After breakfast she got ready and was about to leave when Naruto walked up to her. Hey, you think you can come again sometime? She could see his hopeful expression and truth was she like the kid. I think so. He smiled even brightly. Cool, my birthday is next month, you wanna come? I don't know, she was never one for that kind of thing. Well, I hope you do, Kakashi said, coming around a corner. Naruto seems to have taken a liking to you, and the more the better, right, Naruto? Yeah. He grinned up at her and she shrugged her shoulders. Tell you what, if I'm not busy I'll stop by. Cool. Thanks, Auntie Anko, I hope you come. Naruto took off running, happy that someone else might actually show up for his birthday for once. It was nice and all with his dad, but other kids got to have friends over, and so far he only had Hinata, and Guy and Iruka. He hoped Anko would show up, besides she was fun. Auntie Anko. She looked to Kakashi. You've really made an impression on him. He doesn't usually hand out his little titles like that to just anyone. Looks like he really likes having you around. He smiled at her. She gave a small grunt and turned to leave. Although she didn't show it, it was kind of nice to know that. Naruto's birthday. Naruto woke up that morning, and after getting fully awake he suddenly realized what today was. He jumped up and changed and ran into the kitchen where Kakashi was there with a breakfast all ready for him. Naruto jumped up and started to dig in right away. Slow down, son, Kakashi smiled. Sorry, Dad, but it's my birthday. And this is going to be the best one. He couldn't wait. For the first time in a long time he was going to have more people than ever. Hinata was supposed to come, Iruka was coming, the old man with the robes, Guy said he'd show up and he hoped Anko would too. Well, since it's your birthday I think you can skip training today. Order I have to. Kakashi was surprised by this. You actually want to train today? Yeah, how else will I get to be a great ninja? Kakashi smiled as he pulled down his mask to eat. It was one of the few times he actually took the time to eat slowly when he was alone with Naruto. He was also happy that Naruto had that kind of work ethic, although it seemed that Naruto seemed to equate training to fun for some reason. Okay, then after this we'll train for a bit, then the others should be here after. Naruto jumped up with a shout and Kakashi had to laugh. There was no doubt that Naruto was the most spirited boy on the planet and he was glad to have taken him in. Later that day Hinata Hyuga was walking towards Naruto's home with her gift. She hoped that Naruto would like it, and was a little worried he might not. After all, this was the first gift she got for a friend. Thankfully the presence of her mother beside her was comforting. Now you be a good guest, okay? Her mother asked gently and she nodded her head. They arrived at the Hokage home and were welcomed in by an energetic Naruto who was happy to see his friend. He grabbed her hand and led her side, glad to start things out. Her mother only smiled a little at the scene and walked in. She found Kakashi there with a young man with a scar over his face. Glad for you to show up, Kakashi smiled. At least she figured he was with that mask on. This is Iruka. He looks after Naruto sometimes and I think is like a surrogate big brother to him. Iruka looked a little embarrassed by that. It's nothing really, I got no family of my own and Naruto is. Well, he takes a little getting used to, but he's pretty fun to hang out with and I got to admit he's never boring. She nodded her head. Yes, I've noticed that myself. As the two children were playing, a little other guests showed up. First came in Guy, who got a nice welcome from Naruto and an impassive one from Kakashi. This led to Guy telling how Kakashi's attitude was always so hip and cool, all the time while he showed off his fires of youth. Kakashi just responded by asking if he had said something, making the other ninja face fault. In all honesty, Kakashi just tried to tune Guy out when he got on a roll, but he knew exactly what he was going on about. He just did this cause it was fun to tease Guy like that. The next guest was someone that the Hyuga matriarch was surprised to see, but the Hokage himself. He came in with his usual white robes and smiling as Kakashi welcomed him inside of the home. She was still composing herself, not expecting to see him there. She had no idea that Naruto knew the Hokage personally. Hey, old man. Naruto yelled out, running over to him. She thought that the Hokage would scold the young boy, but he actually smiled. Hello there, Naruto, how are you doing today? He asked, bending down a little. Great, this is going to be the best birthday ever. He smiled broadly at him. They have a special relationship, Kakashi whispered to Hinata's mother, who was surprised that the man suck up on her like that. He can get away with calling him that, but to him it's actually an honorary title that he gave out. Like with Guy, who he called Uncle, and Iruka, I've sometimes heard him call him Big Brother, at times as well. It's his way of showing special affection to those close to him. She nodded her head in understanding now. It wasn't long until another guest showed up. A very sexily dressed young woman who she later learned was Anko. Now she understood why her brother's twin, when he came back one day, was muttering about unseemly female ninjas. Anko wore things that no Hyuga would dare be seen out in public, and she really didn't like the idea of her only daughter exposed to such things at such a young age. But it was Naruto's birthday and she wouldn't ruin it. Kakashi, I must admit, when I heard you were back as a Jonin, I was glad to hear it. Guy smiled at him. Finally, I can truly test myself against the mighty Kakashi, as who is the best Jonin in all of Konoha. What are you getting at, Guy? He asked confused. Simple, I hear you are the best and I want to beat you in a challenge of my choosing. Sorry, not interested. Naruto heard this and got an idea on how to get his dad to go along with it. Dad, are you saying that you can't beat Uncle Guy? Then maybe the flames of youth are stronger and I should train myself with the power of youth on my side. That's the spirit, Naruto. Guy gave him the thumbs up pose. Kakashi's visible eye twitched at this. He spent all that time taking away all of Guy's influence on his son. There was no way he was going to let Guy poison his son's mind with that power of youth crap. He started to walk to the backyard and yanked on Guy's shirt, hauling him with him. Come on and let's get this over with. Kakashi grumbled. Naruto grinned at that, but then he noticed the Hokage and walked over to him. Hey old man, I hear that you're the Hokage, right? Does that make you the strongest ninja in the village? He regarded the young boy. Yes Naruto, I suppose I am. Then one day I'll be as strong as you, no stronger than you. I'll be the strongest of all time. And why is that, Naruto? Naruto smiled up at him, but his eyes were more serious, as though they burned with a purpose. Cause one day I'll be Hokage too. Why do you want to be Hokage, Naruto? Naruto thought about it. Back when the scary man took me, Uncle Guy saved me. I couldn't do anything. But he saved me. He goes out there and protects the people of this village, just like my dad and Anko and Iruka. They all protect people and, well, I want to protect people too. I want to make sure nothing bad happens to them, so I'll become the strongest there is to make sure of it. He was actually surprised by the young boy's statement, so much like his father. Minato, you should be proud of your son. The party went on after that and Naruto had an idea. He had told Hinata about this, but he actually wanted to show her for once. Besides, it was really cool and neat thing that his dad could do. Hey dad, can you let out Pakken and the others? Kakashi looked down to see Naruto with Hinata. You want them here? Yeah, I told Hinata that you can summon ninja dogs that talk and stuff. Besides, I haven't seen them in a long time. Naruto looked up, giving Kakashi a large blue-eyed look. Normally Kakashi would only use his ninja dogs for tracking, although he did use them from time to time to look out for Naruto. Plus the dogs liked him and he was afraid they might spoil him sometimes, but when he would only be away for the day, usually he trusted them to look out for him. Besides, it was his birthday, so he figured they would want to come out for today anyway. Alright then Naruto, he said to the happy little boy. He pulled out a kunai and a small cut on his thumb. He noticed Hinata gasp at this, covering her mouth. Sorry, summons like this need blood. He went through the hand seals, molding his chakra. Sometimes he needed a scroll to do this, if he needed them for a battle, but when he wasn't in a rush he could use the longer method. He was sure that with enough practice he could pull this off whenever he wanted to. He just never had much need to call him out before Naruto came around. Finally he was finished, summoning jutsu. He slammed his hand onto the ground and in a big puff of smoke stood 8 dogs in blue clothing with strange childlike drawings of faces on the backs, along with bits and pieces of other clothing. There was everything from Bull the huge bulldog to the smallest but most intelligent of his dogs, Pakken, a small pug who always seemed to have a depressed look on his face. He once asked about that and Pakken had just said that this was just his normal face. Hinata's eyes were large at the sight of the dogs and the small one came up to Naruto as he bent down to it. Hey Pakken. Naruto, how is it going? The dog said in a surprisingly deep voice. Great, it's my birthday and I wanted you to meet my friend Hinata. Hey Hinata, come and say hello. Hinata walked a little nervously over to the dogs. They looked at her curiously and a large white one with small shades on started to sniff her a bit. She went rigid at this, not sure what to do. The little one came up to her. Don't mind him, he's just checking you out. But it's nice to meet a friend of Naruto's. Yep, she's my very best friend, Naruto said, smiling, making the young girl blush as she fidgeted with her fingers as was her nervous habit. Hey, can she touch your paw? He's got like the best paws, they're super soft and stuff. Pakken was glad to finally find someone who appreciated that. Kakashi never did, that was for sure, so he raised his paw up to the shy girl. She took a timid step before reaching down to the dog and felt it. She was surprised that it was super soft. TT, that's really nice, Kakken-san. Finally people are appreciating this. They have no idea how hard it is for dogs to keep their paws like that, he thought to himself. Hey, you guys want to play? Naruto asked. At that all the dogs looked eager. Naruto liked to play with them, and since they only got called out for missions, this was always a nice break from it all. Kakashi smiled at the scene as the two children began to play with his summon animals. He was thinking of one day showing Naruto that, after all, if he could summon his dogs it would help things out. You didn't even need a contract with them since they were part of the family in a way. He was taught this by his father, so it was only fitting to teach Naruto. Plus he would feel a bit better knowing Naruto had them for backup at times. Iruka was standing there smiling seeing the two kids. Somehow Naruto managed to convince Hinata to get on the large bulldog's back as the two kids rode around on him. Thankfully he wasn't going very fast, but Hinata was holding on to Naruto very tightly and blushing bright red on her face too. He's a very happy kid. I've never known anyone like him. Kakashi nodded. Yeah, that he is. The boy is certainly surprising. The Hokage smiled with his pipe in hand. He could see the fire that burned inside of Naruto. If properly cultivated he could go very far in the ninja world. He cast a look at Kakashi. He was sorry to miss such a promising Anbu, although Itachi was making very good progress filling in the role. But he knew what happens when an Anbu burns out. It wasn't pretty and he could see that Kakashi wanted to get out before that happened. Still, besides that, he had to admit that Kakashi had changed a bit since taking in Naruto. Sure, he was still late but not as much, and a few times he actually showed up only 5 minutes late. He still visited the monument to pay his respects but didn't spend hours there since he had to take care of Naruto. He also noticed that Kakashi had been actually happier. It was subtle, but the old man knew what to look for, and he could see the change in the young man. He cast a look to Anko, who was talking with the Hyuga matriarch, and who was trying to keep on her proper mask while Anko was trying her best to crack that mask. By the looks of it, she was giving one of her in-depth stories either about something that would turn stomachs or make someone blush bright red. Even he had to admit she seemed a bit better knowing Naruto. It seemed that Naruto had the ability to touch the hearts and minds of those he came into contact with. He smiled at that. It was definitely something he would need if he truly did want to become Hokage. A frown slipped into his face then, remembering all the things that had happened to the boy, accidents, and other things. It was a good thing that only rumors surrounded the boy and nothing concrete, although there were members of the council that still felt that the public had a right to know if the seal were ever broken. It was silly, of course, that seal couldn't be just broken like a twig, but still others were afraid. He was afraid what would happen if the truth finally did come out. He knew there were those that would stand by Naruto, but he was worried. Already he heard of how children were warned away from him, and if that came out, then what would they think if their parents started to outright call him a demon and monster? He didn't like it, not at all. After some playing, which Naruto managed to get Iruka involved in a little, it was time for Naruto's presents. His face lit up at the different colored boxes. He picked up one from Hinata first. He opened it up and found a kimono that fit him. It was all orange and black, his favorite colors. There was a headband too, and there was even a new toy in there. Cool. Thanks, Hinata. Hinata smiled, glad that he liked it. He put aside the clothing except for the headband that he put on. From Iruka he got a book on ninjas, which he was eager to learn from. His dad gave him some new training clothing and blunted kunai set, telling him he was ready for weapons training with him. Naruto was eager to try him out the next day. From the Hokage he got a couple of cool toys. Guy gave him a few leg and arm weights for his training. He was going to give Naruto another green jumpsuit, but Kakashi had told him beforehand if he ever tried to give Naruto one of those again he would use his Sharingan. Last was Anko, who handed him a box. Wasn't sure what to get ya brat, but I think you may like it, she told him. Naruto opened it up and saw a few things in there. He pulled out a mask. In fact, the box held at least 4 sets of the same mask. They were all black but had 3 orange slash marks that looked like his whisker marks on his face. Naruto's eyes lit up and put it on. Now with the mask and headband he looked like a smaller and blonder version of Kakashi. Kakashi smiled at the sight of it, as Naruto smiled back at him, mimicking his dad's smile with how his eyes closed. Great, now there are 2 of them. Iruka grinned, shaking his head. You got a problem with my gift, Scar Boy? Anko said dangerously, and he immediately jumped back from the jonin. She only gave him a wicked grin that sent shivers down his spine, and not in the good way. Thanks, Auntie Anko, this is cool. Naruto thought it really was. With the headband and now his very own masks, he looked a lot like his dad now. He wanted to become just as powerful as his dad, even more so. He wanted to make sure that all the people that were precious to him were safe, and he would train hard to do that. Today had been the best birthday ever, and he went off to play ninja with Hinata as they had the ninja dogs to help out as well. Deep in the depths of the village in an old facility that was once used as the training facility for the once powerful organization Root, a group that was the birthplace of Anbu. Although their methods were seen by many as inhumane and repulsive despite the results they got in how many elite ninja they created. And it was none other than the third Hokage that put an end to Root, as many of its members were put into disgrace, especially their leader, a man only known as Danzo. He was an older man who was crippled years ago, his leg was shattered and he could barely move it anymore without a cane. Then there was the fact that his arm hung uselessly in his robe and half his face was hidden by the bandages, and yet despite that he never seemed to care about how his body was mangled. In fact, he still had a commanding presence, and those that underestimated him soon found out that was the last mistake they would make. Currently he was overlooking one of the few training areas that were kept in shape. Despite how the place was falling apart because of how little resources they had and personnel that were still loyal to Root, the place was a shadow of its former glory. Dirt piled up, whole areas were no longer in use. The place was depressing and cold feeling to it all, but that didn't matter to those that worked here. They were Root, and such little things like that mattered little to those that saw themselves as true shinobi. Danzo was on a balcony looking as a few of the youths that he still had were put through their training. It was brutal as always, with no mercy shown, and any hint of emotion was punished. A true ninja had no emotions, as they only got in the way. That was the way of Root. It's been a long time, Fugaku, Danzo said, feeling the presence of the Uchiha leader coming up behind him. Sharp as ever, I see, the man said with little emotion as he looked down at the training. The boys and girls were pale from lack of sun, and a few looked like they were about to drop dead. But that mattered little to him. This was not his affair. I've been wondering why you've ignored my request to get rid of the boy. The boy is a possible danger, of that I agree with you. However, he could also be a powerful weapon in the right hands. The Uchiha gave him a calculating look. Is that why you refused to help me get rid of him all those years ago? Danzo said nothing for a bit. Yes, you were too hasty. If the boy does prove to be a danger, well, I have plans for that. I can already see that one of my students will be the most powerful of this generation, and if need be, I'll send him against any who are a threat to this village. As for the boy, can you honestly say that a ninja with the power of that fox under the control of this village would be such a bad thing? Image just how powerful he could become. That's one of the things I fear, that he'll be too powerful one day. Fear? Or is it that your pride will refuse anyone that is stronger than an Uchiha? The crippled asked, and saw the other man's eyes close slightly in anger. Somehow I doubt that you'll get your hands on the boy. His father is not easily killed, and he has the protection of the Hokage as well as other jonins. Even that bitch of a student of Orochimaru seems to taken a shine to the boy. Fugaku had never liked Anko Mitarashi. He didn't trust her given who her sensei was, and the fact that she had embarrassed his clan with how easily she defeated one of his better ninjas in the Chunin exams. It had been a humiliating defeat for the boy, and not only his pride but the pride of his clan had been shamed in front of the entire village and of others. Yes, that is a shame. I'm surprised how those fools you have aligned with got so close those years ago with the two missing nins. Uchiha nodded. So was I. They used a lot of resources to ensure that no other ninja was in the area at the time, and had agents in place to make sure no one interfered. They should have hired better men. Danzo looked to see one of the students drop, and he felt disappointment. He had thought that one would last at least a few more hours as the boy was dragged away. The other didn't stop or even look. They knew they would be punished if they did. Yes, well, the past is the past, and I'm telling you now, the boy could be an asset. Just give it time. After all, you might be surprised by what the boy. Danzo said, and then turned and left. Fugaku knew he was being dismissed, and he only got two things out of this. He knew that Danzo wouldn't be an ally, but he got the impression that he wouldn't interfere either. He walked back to his home as he thought about the boy. There was a grain of truth that the boy could be a powerful weapon one day, but that was only if they could control him, and he doubted that. He would have to wait for the opportunity to show itself. When the boy showed the danger he could be. Then there was the other matter of his oldest son. He just couldn't understand him anymore. He was more and more distant with each day, and he couldn't figure it out. His oldest son was the pride of the clan, a testament to how great their clan was, and yet he didn't seem to care, and that worried the clan head. He honestly had no idea what to do with this son. He could only hope that he could figure something out. He felt a shadow looming over his son. Like something horrible was going to happen either to him or because of him. He couldn't shake this feeling, and that truly was something that kept him up late at night. Park. Naruto was in the park with Hinata again, and Naruto was talking about the training his dad was putting him through. He was just now starting on his chakra exercises, although he was having some trouble with that. But he just put it off as it was just because it was new to him. He couldn't wait to enter the academy and start his training to be a real ninja like his dad and the others. There was one downside. Iruka had told him that he would be teaching now and wouldn't be able to look after him like he used to. Apparently he had been trying to get a job at teaching and had been taking courses and stuff as well as being an assistant teacher. It kind of made Naruto a bit sad knowing that he wouldn't be able to look after him like he used to, but Iruka had promised to still see him when he got the chance. He also promised to take Naruto out for ramen the next time he could, which in Naruto's young mind made up for a lot. One of the things he started to do these days was wear his new mask that Anko gave him for his birthday a few months back all the time like his dad. Although he still had to take it off to eat and stuff, but his dad told him that eventually he would teach him how to eat without anyone seeing him take it off, and even now to make a genjutsu to make it look like the mask was still on and just eat normally, although to those around it would look like the food was just going through the mask. So Hinata, you excited? He asked her. Huh, you said that your mom is going to have another kid, right? Hinata nodded her head. A couple of months ago she told her about it. Hinata was actually excited about this. She would have a baby brother or sister and she couldn't wait. Although she wasn't sure how babies were born, but her mother told her a few things about how babies grew inside of the mother. At any rate, Hinata was happy that her family was growing. I bet you're going to be a great big sister, Naruto said, smiling. She blushed a bit. Thank you, Naruto-kun. It was then that they heard the yelling and both young children looked to see a group of kids their own age that were being picked on by a few older boys. Naruto glared at the scene. He had to deal with bullies himself, and so he had a real hatred for that kind of thing. To him, bullies got whatever came to them, and he also couldn't just sit by and watch this or let it happen. Hold on, Hinata, looks like we're going to have to wait a bit to play. Hinata's eyes grew as he walked off to the group. She looked around but didn't see any adults around, and she was worried that Naruto would get hurt, and she didn't want to see him hurt. The kids in question were 2 boys and 2 girls. Of the girls there were a young blonde with short hair named Ino Yamanaka, who was with her friend in red with pink hair, Sakura Hanaro. There were 2 other boys as well, a slightly pudgy kid who was eating named Choji Akamaki, and finally a lazy kid that was just looking up at the sky named Shikamaru Nara. The other older kids were just picking on the kids that they had seen, although Sakura was still shy and insecure. Ino, however, was angry that some stupid kids were picking on him just because they were older. What's your problems? Ino yelled out at them. Your ugly face, blondie, and maybe with the girl with the freakish forehead there, man, did you get hit by the ugly stick or something? Sakura was very sensitive about her looks, especially her forehead. She did kind of have a slightly larger one, and all the kids would make fun of it. It wasn't until Ino came along and became her friend and helped her through her insecurities a bit. Also, she started to make more friends lately, although she was still learning to have more self-confidence like Ino. Hearing those words hurt like hell, and she felt the sting of tears in her eyes at the moment. You guys are so troublesome, Shikamaru sighed. He was just trying to watch some clouds. He didn't even want to go to the park. It was always too noisy, and there were too many trees that got in the way of all the good cloud watching spots. The only reason he was here was because his dad wanted him to spend time with Ino and Choji. Choji he didn't mind, he was a good friend, but Ino on the other hand was very bossy, and he already had one bossy female in his life. The last thing he needed was someone like his mother, but she was the daughter of his father's best friend and teammate. When he got here, there was that pink-haired girl Sakura that Ino had been hanging out with lately. She wasn't so bad, so she was less troublesome than Ino. There was a shadow over him, and he looked up to see one of the boys looking over him. What was that pineapple head? Shikamaru just sighed. He just wanted to watch clouds. Was that so much to ask in life? Hey, leave him alone, you jerk. Ino yelled out with a raised fist. Or what? You going to hit me, little girl? He laughed. I think she will, and I think I like to help. The new voice drew the attention of everyone, and there on the slide next to the bully over Shikamaru was a boy sitting on the top. He had on black shorts with an orange shirt with a black spiral symbol on the front. He had strange blue eyes, wild blonde hair, and was wearing a mask too. Who the hell are you, punk? The mystery boy just shrugged. Name's Naruto, and you better leave if you know what's good for you. Kick the kid's ass. One of the bully's friend yelled out. Yeah, and take his mask off, maybe we can make him eat it. Another yelled. He looked up at the kid with a grin. So the big bad hero wants to help out, huh? Well, come down here then and get a beating. Naruto grinned under his mask. Okay, if you say so. He then quickly launched himself down the chute and slammed into the older boy's stomach with his 2 feet. The boy was launched off the ground from the blow and landed coughing and gasping for breath as the air was knocked out of him. There was a pause as everyone was surprised by the quick move. Naruto got into a basic fighting stance his dad taught him and waved the boys in. Ino saw how this boy was helping him out and grinned as she saw him drop the older boy. She had no idea who he was, but he had style, that was for sure. When she noticed the bully next to her was about to move, she stomped on his foot. He cried out, and then while hopping on one foot she kicked him hard in the shin of the other leg. The boy fell to the ground holding both legs in pain. Naruto now only had 2 boys to deal with as he saw the blonde take out one of the others. The nearest boy tried to grab Naruto, so he grabbed the wrist to the boy and with his other hand jabbed a finger in the right spot in the throat area, just where the rib cage starts. There is a small curve and there is a nerve there. He pressed down and the boy's legs gave out in a second. He quickly placed that hand around the back of the neck of the boy and twisted and threw the boy head first into the stomach of the last one. Naruto was actually surprised how well that move worked. Sure, he trained with his dad and stuff, but that was the first time that he actually used it in real life. If it wasn't for the mask, his surprise would have been apparent on his face. Ino, however, decided to push it. Alright, you boys want more of a butt kicking. Because only 2 of us were fighting, you want all of us. Troublesome. Shikamaru sighed. Why should I get involved? Shut it, you lazy jerk. Ino shouted. I'd listen to her if I were you guys, Naruto said, crossing his arms over his chest. The bullies decided that being embarrassed by a bunch of kids younger than them was bad enough for the day, as they picked themselves up and tried to make a dignified retreat. Not that it worked. Naruto laughed as the boys went away. He noticed the blonde girl walk up to him. Hey, thanks. Naruto scratched the back of his head and smiled. Hey, no problems, I hate bullies and I can't stand to see it happen. Well, thanks. I'm Ino, by the way. This is Sakura. The lazy boy on the floor is Shikamaru and the kid that is still eating is Choji, Ino said, pointing everyone out. Cool. I'm Naruto and this is, hold on. They watched the boy look around and then seemed to find someone behind the slide. Come on out, it's okay, Hinata. He pulled out a girl with short hair and pearl-like eyes who seemed very nervous as she was looking down at the ground and fidgeting with her fingers. Ino could already see this girl was like Sakura, actually maybe a bit worse off. So. This is my very best friend Hinata. Well, say hello. Oh. Hello. She gave a small bow to the group. So you guys want to join us? Ino asked, and both kids' faces lit up at that. She had no way of knowing that they had no other friends and this was the first time they were asked to join in. They gathered up together to get to know each other. Naruto was sitting next to Hinata, of course, but he took a place next to a nice-looking pink-haired girl as well. Shikamaru was laying down looking up at the clouds but still in the circle, and Choji and Ino finished it off. So I got to ask, why the mask? Ino asked Naruto. He just shrugged. My aunt Anko gave it to me on my birthday, and my dad wears one and he told me that his dad wore one too. So, well, it's kind of like family tradition. Besides, I think it looks cool and I am going to be a ninja like my dad too. So you're from a ninja family? Sakura asked. Her family didn't have many ninjas in it. In fact, the last ninja was her grandfather and her father, who used to be, but he retired soon after she was born. Something about wanting to see her grow up and not wanting to miss out on it. Yep. And so it Hinata too. We're going to join the ninja academy as soon as we can. Cool, so am I. My dad as well as Lazy Boy and Choji here come from ninja families too. Ino said, smiling. Hinata looked to Sakura. What about you? Are you going too? Sakura had been thinking about it. All her friends were going to join up and she wanted to follow in the path of her family as well. She had no idea what else she did want to do with her life and she kind of would like to carry on the family tradition. Yes, I think I am. Of course she is, and she'll be a good one too. Ino smiled at her friend who blushed a bit. Hey, you want a snack? Choji asked Naruto and he did consider it. But he didn't want to pull his mask down. With family it was okay, and maybe Hinata too, since she actually knew what his face looked like. I'm good, but thanks. So do you guys want to play? That day both Hinata and Naruto made 4 new friends that day. Hinata was shy, but she soon found a friend in Sakura and Ino, especially since they were the first female friends that she ever made. Naruto finally had more friends to play with as well, and even though Shikamaru liked to look at the sky, he did play when you finally motivated him to do it. Everything was going really well too. Naruto kind of liked the new friends he made. Choji seemed to like food and he told the boy about the best ramen stand in town while he told Naruto about the best barbecue place as well. He watched clouds with Shikamaru for a bit as he picked out shapes out of the clouds. Ino was kind of bossy but he didn't mind. Sakura was very nice as well. She was kind of like Hinata but after a bit she seemed to open up to them. Unfortunately 3 adults came walking up. A large man, a man with scars on his face and a man with long blonde hair. "Hey kids, time to go home," the blonde one said. "Ah, Daddy, we were having fun with our new friends," Ino whined. Ino's father looked to see the 2 new faces. He knew a Hyuga when he saw one, although it was strange to see one playing with other kids. He didn't see any seal on the kid's forehead either, so that might mean she was either too young or a main branch member, which was even stranger. "So who are these 2 then?" the large man asked as Choji went up to his dad. "I'm Naruto Hitaki and this is Hinata Hyuga," Naruto said, smiling up at the adults hoping they would be nice. Sometimes some adults looked at him strangely and he didn't like how they looked at him. "Hitaki," Shikaku Nara said, looking at the boy. "Huh, must be Kakashi's kid, with that mask it must be. Heard rumors of him being some kind of monster or something, but what the hell kind of monster could be a kid? He's pretty nice, although a bit loud," Shikamaru sighed. "Well then, glad that you met some new friends, Ino," Inoiki said to his daughter. "Sakura was supposed to walk you home today since your dad is a bit busy with work today." Sakura nodded and went with her best friend and her dad but looked back towards Naruto and Hinata. "Goodbye and I hope to see you both around later too." Hinata had on a small smile at being accepted by someone else, while Naruto had on a huge on under his mask that always seemed to show despite it being covered. "See you later Sakura, Ino, Choji and Shikamaru. We'll see you again here another day." "This is great Hinata, we got more friends to play with, this is great." Naruto jumped excited, he couldn't wait to tell his dad. Hinata nodded her head. She was still shy around them but they made her feel better, less lonely in fact. All in all for the 2 of them it was a great day. As the sun was setting it looked like it was getting dark. "Hey Hinata, you want me to walk you home?" Naruto said, seeing how dark it was getting. She blushed a bit. Why you don't have to do that Naruto-kun. Oh come on, I never get to see your home and it's getting late and it might rain. My dad's off on a mission and might not be back home until it's late anyway. So come on, let's go." He grabbed her hand, making her blush very red as she felt kind of strange. She felt like her stomach was fluttering or something and was feeling very warm. She didn't understand why she got like that, but in a strange way it was kind of nice too as Naruto nearly dragged her home. Uchiha compound. Itachi Uchiha should have been a happy person. Here he was the youngest member to make Anbu captain, a prodigy and pride of his whole clan, someone that many admired and respected. But was he happy? The thing was, he could rarely remember being truly happy in life. Things just came too easily to him. There was no challenge here and the only amusement was from his best, and only friend, Shisui, but that wasn't much. In fact, sometimes he wondered why he was friends with him at all, but there was just something about him that he actually liked. It was hard for him, he couldn't really relate to anyone these days. The closest were maybe his little brother and his best friend. He mentally sighed walking the halls. He felt like his talents were being wasted. He was said to be the strongest ninja in the clan and maybe soon in the whole village, but what did that truly mean? Was there anyone out there that could pose a challenge to him? It was so dull to just cut through his enemies so easily, it was almost maddening actually. He came to the outdoors training area only to see his little brother training again, only he noticed a bit more of a fire burning in his little brother. This actually piqued his interest as he walked over to him. The punching block looked like it was nearly about to start splintering a little, and his brother's knuckles seemed to be bleeding a bit. "So what's gotten you into such a state?" he calmly asked. Sasuke was surprised, not noticing his older brother until that moment. "It's nothing." Itachi raised a single eyebrow at this. "I don't believe that for a second." Sasuke was silent for a moment. "I want to be better than you." "Oh, everyone looks at you, everyone sees you but me. I might as well be a ghost." Sasuke's anger filled him a bit and his older brother saw the look of anger in his eyes. Interesting. Itachi looked at the board and then to his little brother. Itachi believed that emotions were a weakness that needed to be either controlled or cut out of you. They only hindered you, but apparently his little brother was starting to improve a little on his training with his anger. If this is anger, then I wonder what a stronger emotion like hatred would do. Which is stronger, no emotions or filled with them? It was an interesting question to Itachi, which would make the better ninja. He looked at his little brother and decided that he would watch his progress and see how this would affect his brother, to see if maybe one day he could be an equal to him. After all, out of all the clan members, it was Sasuke that trained the hardest and the most. If anyone even had a chance, it would be his little brother. Well then, give them a reason to see you, Itachi said to a surprised Sasuke. You're an Uchiha, so start acting like one. You want to prove your worth, then get stronger. Because what is the point of power if you can't use it? With that he left and heard the sounds of his little brother training harder than before. He almost smirked at the sounds. But he quickly put that away. After all, he had other things to do now. Being an Anbu captain meant a lot of work, and he had a lot to do now. Although there was one thing that was troubling him, there were rumors of some missing nins that were dressed in black cloaks and had red clouds on them. It was a strange design, but the three that were mentioned seemed to be Class S ninjas. It was something he would look into after all. It was odd to have missing nins acting as though part of some group. Normally they were loners, but this group was somewhat odd, plus maybe they would give him the challenge to test his power out. Naruto managed to get Hinata back to the Hyuga compound before the sun fully went down. He got to the front gate as two of the branch family members stood guard and gave him a curious look as the heir to the clan was being led by a small blonde boy in a mask. They stopped at them as he looked up at them. He didn't know why, but a lot of Hyugas did kind of looked alike, kind of like Auntie Anko had said a few times. Hinata-sama, one of the guards, greeted her and casting calculating looks as Naruto. Naruto bowed her head to them. Hello, this is Naruto Hotake and he's a good friend of mine. They both nodded as they stood apart and gave them room. Of course, Lady Hinata, your guest is welcome. Naruto gave them a small look with his arms behind his head as he walked in like he owed the place with Hinata. He looked around forgetting about the stuffy guards and finally saw Hinata's home. The place had huge walls, so he never got to see inside of it, but this place was huge. His eyes widened in surprise at all of this. There were houses all over the place, gardens, small ponds, and everything looked perfect. There were a lot of Hyugas as well as they cast sidelong glances at them. Wow, Hinata, this place is huge. So this is what a clan home is like? He asked her and she nodded her head. Maybe I should call you Hinata Heim. After all, you're like a princess since your dad is a clan head and all, and this place it like a small country. Of course he was exaggerating a bit with the size, but that didn't stop Hinata from getting a deep red blush at the thought of his new nickname for her. She looked down at her feet, not trusting herself to look at him. Whenever she was around him she felt like she mattered. She knew that she wasn't the strongest in her clan and that she was viewed as too gentle, but she couldn't help it. It was just who she was. Hinata-sama, she was broken out of her thoughts by a voice and was surprised to see who it was. To Naruto it looked like just another Hyuga with long hair, although he seemed to be a bit older than the two of them, maybe by a year or so. Lady Hannah saw you arriving and wished for me to bring you and your guest to her, the boy said to them. How did she see us? Naruto asked, and the boy gave him a strange look. With her eyes, you don't know of the Byakugan. Naruto thought about it and thought about what his dad taught him over the years. Oh wait, is that one of those bloodline things? Oh, so is that why all you guys have those cool eyes? Hey Hinata, how come you haven't shown me that? I haven't been able to activate it. Why yet? She looked disappointed in that. Normally someone from the clan would have been able to do it a year ago, but she was still struggling with it. She felt weak and she knew she was a slight disappointment to her father, who was the head of the clan. I'm sure you'll do it, Hinata, just keep at it, right? Sorry I didn't get your name. Naruto blushed a bit at the boy. It's Neji Hyuga. Cool. I'm Naruto Hotake, nice to meet ya. Naruto stuck out his hand to the boy, who looked at it for a moment before shaking it. Neji was just surprised by this Naruto person. He was the complete opposite to Hinata-sama in every way. He was loud, energetic and outgoing. His shy cousin was a stark contrast, and he had to wonder how these two had become friends. At any rate, he started to lead him through the complex to where the main branch lived. He knew the place well since his father lived here, and so did he because of it. Your mother is in the study, Hinata-sama, Neji said as he led them. Why, you don't have to call me that, we are family. You are. Naruto was surprised at this. He's my cousin. Hey cool. I don't got any other family other than my dad, and then there's the old man, my crazy aunt, and uncle, and the Zaruka. But I got no family around my own age. How come you don't come out and play with us, Neji? Naruto asked the slightly older boy. Neji was surprised by the question. It just wasn't his place to just play with someone from the main branch, although he didn't hate Hinata or anything, after all she was just too nice to hate. But it was kind of an unwritten rule about how main and branch members had to interact. It's just not the way things are done in this clan. Naruto made a face behind his mask. Well, that's just stupid. I mean, do you have others to play with? In fact, Neji didn't really. He trained a lot and he had his studies. Plus he helped out around the compound. There weren't many children their own age here anyway, so he just tried to fill in his time. Well. Naruto smiled at that. Good, you can play with us then, and to hell with the stupid rules, right Hinata? Well. Come on, you like Neji right, and shouldn't family stick together? He said. It's just that I have a lot of training to do, Neji supplied, seeing that Hinata was in a bind, and so to give Naruto something in order to drop the matter. Naruto thought about it as they walked on, and then an idea hit him. Hey, since Hinata and me are going into the ninja academy soon, why don't we train together? I mean, you're most likely ahead of us anyway, and you can help us. You can sharpen your skills on us and we can still spend time together. Neji just didn't know how to get around this kid. It was like every time he figured something out, he would find another way. He sighed, trying to think of something else. Although he kind of liked the idea of training with others, there was only so much he could do on his own. But he was worried what his uncle would think of this, and then there was his father and all the others. The main branch just didn't train with the other branches, but Naruto didn't seem to care. He just blew out a sigh. We'll see about that. He hoped that giving him something that wasn't a yes or a no would get him off this. Naruto nodded, and Neji was glad that was over with. With luck the boy would forget about this. They arrived in the study, which was larger than any room in Naruto's home other than the training room they had. It was filled with books and scrolls, and there sitting there was Hinata's mother. She had a tea set next to her as she had been reading something. She smiled at the three of them as she gave Neji a nod to let him know that he could go. He returned it, and that left the two kids alone. So how was your day, children? She asked. It was good, mother. Naruto threw his hands behind his head, grinning widely. It was great. We met some new kids and made some new friends. Hyuga was happy to hear that they were making more friends. Well, Naruto, that's very nice to hear, and thank you for walking Hinata-chan home as well. Or it was nothing, my dad's off on a mission today and might not be back until much later anyway. Besides, I got to finally see inside of this place and it's awesome. Plus Hinata's cousin was nice to meet, if kind of weird. But he said that he'd let us train together since he's too busy to play and all. Hinata wanted to correct Naruto that Neji didn't actually agree. He said that he would think about it. Her mother got an interested look on her face as she thought about it. In truth, it couldn't hurt. She knew that her husband used to be very close to his brother before he had to take on the duties as head of the clan. He had to act a certain way, and although he never said it, she knew that he sometimes missed how close he used to be with Hisashi, but he could never show it. Sometimes being a Hyuga meant a lot of personal sacrifice, but at least Hisashi didn't resent his older twin Hisashi. So Hana got to thinking that maybe having the three of them spend time with Neji might help with forging a stronger bond between the main and branch houses. She knew that there was a major rift between the two, and this might help strengthen it, and in Hinata she saw someone that the branch house members couldn't hate. She had seen how Hinata treats everyone with respect, and for branch members that had seen the ugly side of certain main branch members, it was a welcome change. Well, I think that is good idea. I'll speak with Neji's father about that and set something up, Hana said. Great. Naruto nearly jumped and Hinata's eyes widened. She hadn't expected that, but it would be nice to spend time with her cousin. She barely saw him, and at times she wished that he was an older brother back before her mother was pregnant. Well, I guess I'll be off then. Naruto made for the door. Naruto, since you walked my daughter home, why don't you stay for supper? Naruto stopped in place. Huh. You serious? Always. Besides, my husband is entertaining an envoy from the hidden village of Cloud tonight, and I don't feel like showing up to that. So it will just be the three of us. Hana didn't trust the Cloud ninja that had been sent on a mission to improve relations with their village. He had been going around to all the clans, and although he was nothing but civil, there was something about the man that made her uneasy. That and the fact that with her new cravings she tended to need food that was a bit odd, especially for an envoy to see her eat. Besides, she and her husband agreed that Hinata was too young to attend such functions and she would look after her. Naruto thought about this and shrugged. He was kind of hungry and it was better than eating alone, so he agreed happily to join them for dinner. Later that night. Well, I must thank you for the wonderful dinner and for your hospitality, Hyuga-sama, said a man wearing the symbol of the Cloud Village on his forehead protector as he was talking to Hiyashi as they left the dining room. It is my honor to host a guest to the village. I know that our two villages have not gotten along well in the past, he said to the other man. Akira the ninja from Cloud nodded, which is why I was sent on this mission to help reestablish ties with this village. Konoha has grown since the last war and from even the defeat of one of the multi-tailed demons as well. Not an easy feat, so we felt it wise to strengthen our association with this village as it seems to be gaining strength. Hiyashi nodded. Well then, one of my people will show you to the room we set aside for you for the night. Thank you once again for the hospitality, Akira told him as he was shown the way to the room. Akira had spent a lot of time gathering information on the major clans of Konoha and especially those with bloodline abilities. The village of Cloud didn't have as many with those special abilities and they needed more in order to stand up to other villages. So he had been looking for one to steal away so their own village would have a new powerful bloodline limit. The question was with who, and that was the problem. He had chosen to take one of the powerful ones and that left only two clans, the Uchihas and the Hyugas. The Uchihas were very powerful, but the problem was that the only ones that had activated their abilities were adults and thus a lot harder to kidnap and smuggle out, let alone just steal the eyes right from out of their heads. There was an added problem, and that was of Itachi. His name had reached even his village's ears and he didn't particularly like the idea of facing him, and if he did attack their clan he had no doubt they would send him after him. That left the Hyuga clan and he could see they were definitely born with their special eyes, it only took time to activate it at a young age. While talking with the clan head and others in the village using a hedge to appear as someone else, he found out that there was a possibility in the young Hinata girl. She was the daughter of the clan head who was said to be powerful, but she seemed to be a shy and kind girl, in other words not one to put up much of a fight. He would have preferred a boy, since if he could get a boy back then they would start with the brainwashing and make him into a cloud ninja. Then they could use him with the strongest females ninjas to make a whole new generation of strong ninjas with that bloodline limit. She same could be done with the girl, she would be taken, her mind twisted into a loyal servant of Cloud, and she would be mated with the strongest warriors. Her children would make for excellent ninjas even if it was a slower process. And if things really went wrong, well, he knew enough medical ninjutsu to take the eyes out intake. Although the person would most likely not survive, he could have the eyes and they could implant them or study them to see how they worked. Either way they would gain power or knowledge on their rivals. When he was sure that the guards from outside the window had gone out of sight on their rolling patrol, he slipped out into the shadows. He had been taking note of the complex and had been trying to figure out which room belonged to the girl he had chosen to take. It wouldn't be easy, but there were other cloud ninjas that had managed to sneak in as merchants. All he had to do was get to them. They had a cart with a false bottom and they could keep the child there as they were smuggled out. The real trick was trying to find the girl. He had eliminated many of the rooms during his tour and only one floor that was used for the sleeping quarters. So he started there. He found one room that looked to be a nursery being built as he knew that Hiyashi's wife was expecting another child. The next looked empty, but it was the next one that he found the girl. She looked like she was getting ready for bed. He would have to be quick and fast with the girl. Naruto was walking home. It was late and he hoped he got back before his dad did. He really didn't want to explain why he had been out so late, so if he got back before him then he would be none the wiser. Besides, it was a nice night out anyway and he was making his way around the compound, it just by pure chance and luck that he took that way that night. One of those decisions that at the time a person doesn't know will affect their future. Call it fate, call it blind stupid luck, call it what you will. But when he chose to go this way, it set him up for a night that would change him. That is if he survived. But Naruto didn't know any of this. He was just minding his own business when he saw a shadow leap on top of the wall and then jump down not far from him. He looked like a ninja to him with some kind of sack over his shoulder. At first he thought it was just another Hyuga. Then he noticed the sack was moving a lot. Hey mister, what's in the bag? Naruto asked. Damn it, the cloud ninja hadn't seen the boy. He had been so worried about the rest of the clans seeing him he missed the boy. It didn't help that the boy wore a lot of black and at the night and the boy nearly blended in. Help! Came a crying voice. Naruto's eyes widened at that voice because he knew it, even without the stutter. What are you doing with Hinata-chan? Stupid kid, you saw too much. The cloud ninja threw several shurikens at the boy. Naruto saw them and dodged them easily enough. He dodged another set and smiled. He didn't know what this ninja was up to, but he was obviously kidnapping Hinata. He wouldn't let him, he would save her. He was proud of how well he was dodging the weapons, if only his dad could see him now. Then suddenly a pain hit his chest and he stopped confused as his body refused to move. He was wondering why his body was suddenly too hard to move, but he managed to look down. He was confused for a moment because there was a kunai in his chest. He didn't see him throw a kunai, so where did it come from? Then his mind registered that he was bleeding now. He put a hand to his chest and felt the warm blood, almost like he couldn't understand why this was happening. His legs finally gave out and he sank to his knees. Akira smirked at how stupid the boy was. He hadn't known that those throwing stars were just a diversion to set him up for a kunai throw. The shurikens, although could be lethal, demanded you hit a few vital areas, and he needed to be sure the boy was killed. A kunai to the chest would do that. So when the boy was just dodged his second volley after he judged his speed, he threw his kunai at his full speed, unlike the shurikens that had been about half his speed. He turned around ready to go and leave the boy to die. For Naruto, he felt time slow down as his blood was leaking out of his wound. He was starting to feel a bit cold and his vision was starting to blur. He could still hear Hinata calling for help and he tried to move, but his body wouldn't listen. I failed to protect her. Why do I have to be so weak? Naruto asked himself. He remembered when the ninja took him and how afraid he had been. Guy had saved him that day, and here was Hinata in that same moment, but where was the person to save her? He was here, but he couldn't do anything. I can't die. I have to save her. I don't want to die. Not yet. I can't die yet. Naruto looked at the ninja knowing that he would hurt Hinata. He wanted to hurt him instead. Images of Hinata flew into his mind. Of the day they first met, how happy he was to finally find a friend, to his birthday, to all the days she had been with him. She made him less alone, she made him happy, and he liked it when she smiled. And now she was going to be taken away from him, from her family, from her home. Naruto looked at the ninja with hatred, pure hatred. He had never hated anyone so much in his life. He felt warmer now, like there was a fire building up inside of him. Hate. A voice called out to him. Punish. Again the voice, it was deep and seemed to growl out the words. Kill. And then Naruto roared. All around Konoha the chakra was felt. From the further places that were from the Hyuga home, people stirred in their sleep, some woke up to feelings of dread. The closer you got, the more intense the sensation. People bolted from their beds in cold sweats, children woke up crying, wondering what that scary feeling was. The adults, however, knew, they had all felt that chakra before. That dreaded killing intent was burned into their memories and into their nightmares of several years ago. The night that the demon came to them, a living nightmare that left its mark on them all, and now they were feeling it again. Many were so scared that the demon had returned that they couldn't move, remembering that horrible night. Others who hadn't been at the battle, who had been away when it came, or from civilians that had moved in after the battle, were never as scared as they were that night. The Hokage bolted out of his bed and rushed to his window. He could feel it in his bones and he alone knew what was happening and that it was coming from the Hyuga compound. He quickly left to gather his Anbu and anyone else he could find. At the Uchiha estate, Fugaku just stared out his window in fear. The day that he had feared might have just happened, that the demon fox had found a way out of his prison. For Itachi, he was frozen in awe for a moment. He had never felt such power before. It was like it was pure power, true power, a force of nature itself. And a small part of him was drawn to it, that finally he had found a power greater than his and he liked it, a power that great in his hands sent his mind racing with endless possibilities. In the Hyuga compound they all woke up to the power of the chakra and the killing intent coming off it. Hiyashi Hyuga knew this chakra as well. He activated his eyes trying to find the source of it all. He felt the hand of his wife on his arm gripping it. Hiyashi. I know. He tried to steady his voice as he searched and then he found it. Out by the wall there were two figures. No, wait, three. One of them was in a bag and Hinata. What about Hinata? His wife shouted, but she didn't get an answer as her husband grabbed a robe and jumped through the window. Back with Akira the Cloud Ninja, he was frozen in place as he looked at horror at the child. There was actually chakra coming off the boy in levels that he only thought a cage would have. There was so much he could actually see it, but that wasn't what scared him. The chakra wasn't normal. It was red and it swirled around the boy looking like it was alive. Then the boy's eyes looked at him and he knew that the boy's eyes had changed. He couldn't remember what they originally looked like, but there was no way he could miss those eyes. They were red and had slits like an animal's, but there was something else in those eyes. There was this untamed fury in them, like a predator that wanted to punish and kill. God, what are you? He whispered out. Naruto didn't hear him. He was in a haze of anger, fury, rage and bloodlust. He pulled the kunai out of his chest and threw it with inhuman speed, sending it into the man's shoulder. He cried out as he dropped the bag with Hinata in it, and the next thing he knew the boy was next to him. The speed was impossible for a boy that age. Then with Naruto's clawed hands he slashed the man's face. He screamed in pain as half his face was clawed, but Naruto didn't stop. He punched him in the chest and he was sent into the brick wall. It dented and his bones shattered, and Naruto kept on going. He wanted to hurt this man, he wanted to kill him. He began to punch the man and wasn't stopping. His prey tried to put up an arm to defend himself, but it was broken after several hits. You will not hurt Hinata-chan again, he shouted out between punches. Naruto. The voice of Hinata snapped him out of it and he looked over at the struggling bag. He weakly walked over to it as he tried to get the bag opened. He finally did, to find the crying form of Hinata in there. She looked up scared at him and Naruto felt the anger leave him. He felt the fire in his blood slowly drain. "En Naruto K-kun," she sniffled. "Yeah. Are you okay?" Naruto asked and she nodded her head. "That's good. I'm glad that you're okay." Naruto collapsed there onto the ground and Hinata noticed all the blood on his chest and the hole in it. "Naruto," she cried out. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.